Hello and welcome to Let's See It with Rebecca Tamwin, that's me, and Kiva Murphy.
That's me.
This week we are talking about genre.
It's quite a hard word to say. Genre.
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 Yeah, but even in French it's hard to say.
It's a French word, right?
Sure.
You're the French speaker. It's
I'm
French,
a French
right?
speaker. I think it's a French word. I don't know. Some words I don't know where they come from. But it
nice
feels
in
French.
Genre. Oh my God, that's just disgusting.
So, Rebecca, what do you think genre means?
Do you mean like the Webster's Dictionary definition of genre?
Oh, Webster's, not OED.
Oh,
Fancy.
sorry, I went French. French, not French. Webster's is not French. Webster's is American. Sorry, OED. the
OED, thank you.
What does the OED say about genre?
Like, what do you think genre means? Because one of those words that I think people bandy around, but not really super sure what it means.
Well, for me, I guess coming from a creative industry, genre is the type of thing. So it's the theme, it's the type of the movie, the series, the book, that sort of thing. So when I think of genre, I think of horror, romance, comedy, tragedy, all those kind of things. To me, that is genre. So it's a type of categorization of, normally, I would say, an art form.
Yeah, right, because I think it can be books, it can be music, it can be theatre.
So the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary, says its first definition is kind, sort, style. So genre is a kind, a sort, or a style. And its second one, it's kind of specifically a particular style or category of works of art, especially a type of literature work characterised by a particular form, style, or purpose.
Oh,
So there we go.
okay.
And then it does go on for a couple more about painting. So painting is in there. So a particular style or category of work of art. Yeah, that's kind of how I do see it. That's defined by a form or a purpose.
Yeah, I think it's like if you're in a library, or back in the day when there was VHS video libraries, remember those? When you would go around and go, this is the horror section, this is the kids section, this is the documentary section. I think all of those, like the way things are sectioned off, is kind of genre in terms of type or
Yes.
style. Like I really am in the mood for something that's thriller.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny because I think when people think about improv, they only really think about one style. The general populace, they think about this idea of whose line is it anyway, which is this short form improv, which is here's a game, let's go, perform that game, round of applause, it's hilarious, go, next. Whereas I've seen some other improv or performed other improv that is theatrical and dramatic or tragic or dark and twisted and suspenseful and all these other kind of things. And I think it's good to know that improv isn't only just, ba-dum-bum-tsh wittiness, but there are characters and you can bring people on a journey. Exactly.
And also, we're kind of, again, placing improv in a box. Like, improv does happens a lot in music. A lot in music. Does happen a lot, I would say, on stage and on screen as well. Even though you have a huge structure, a very rigid structure a lot of the time, there still are those moments of improvisation because you don't really know what your other performer's going to do. Even if you're doing a TV series, a film or something like that, you don't really know what you're going to get from the other person.
And the good actors, the good performers are there present. They're not like, oh, I have a script. I wait until you say the word door and then I say, let's open it. And I'm just kind of stuck in that structure because maybe you won't say door in the way that I'm expecting. And you can see sometimes you have performers or actors, even musicians, dancers, kind of across the board, just waiting for their moment. And they're like, and it's my turn to talk. And instead, like actually being present and going, okay, maybe they'll say close the door in a very dramatic way. And then the whole genre of that sentence and of the next few moments of whatever this story is totally changes.
So, Kiva, what is your favourite genre?
I think it's absurdist. I think it might be that. I really like things that are unexpected. I think not necessarily extreme absurdism where it's like, what is happening and there's no structure. But I really like when one thing leads to the other. So where it's kind of that pure free form moment of someone has said something and in that moment I'm inspired to say or add the next thing. So whether it's playing objects or where people can talk or you can personify an animal, an emotion, a feeling, all these kind of things. I like things that are kind of pushing the boundaries and get a bit dark or a bit sexy or a bit unusual. I like things that kind of push the limit a little bit.
And do you have an example of an absurdist piece of literature, TV, film, theatre that you've seen?
The first thing that came into my head when you just asked me that was, what's it called? Clementine, Jim Carrey.
Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Exactly. Yeah. So that kind of thing. So it's the reality, but it's a bit twisted and it's a bit dark and you don't quite know what's going to happen. You don't really know what's real and what's not real. What's real for me might be a different thing for you. And that's the way my head spins out a lot of the time. If I'm on my own and someone says something or I see something, it can often make me fly off into this kind of absurd, weird world.
Amazing. I love that your head works like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that comes from your clowning background?
No, actually. I think I've always been like that. I think I've always been this kind of playful thing of creating something. I mean, someone will tell me a sentence and I'll be like, oh, that could be this, could be this, could be this. And my mind will go off on one, even if it's in a more structured way.
So that was something you always had. And I guess that's probably why you were drawn to clown.
I think so.
Because it is so beautifully
free
and can be very absurd and fun and the connections can be wild.
Yeah. It makes me think of a moment I was clowning in hospital and there was this little girl whose name was Eveline or something like that. And her mum's name was also Emma or Emily. And so I just started this thing of like, oh, you really like the letter E. And then it turned into this 15-minute skit of how we could talk only in the letter E or without the letter E and how obsessed they were and who was E in their life. And it became this entire universe all around the letter E. And they were on the floor. I was also on the floor. It was very funny and just very strange, but beautiful, and kind of left them with this really cool thing between the two of them that they had this letter that connected them that made them special. It was lovely.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like on those moments you go. It's also like you said, that connection, the in-joke. You're like, there's a moment there that's been explored because they probably never thought about it before.
No, their mum said, I don't know, I just liked this name, so I called her that.
The E's.
Yeah.
All the E's.
What about you, Miss Rebecca Tanwin? What is your favourite genre? What are you drawn towards?
Oh, now the first thing that came to my head is a bit of a surprise to me because I can't believe that was the first one that came to my head. Horror.
Oh.
Because if anybody has tried to make me watch a horror movie before, I've been like, no, absolutely not. No, I can't stand watching horror movies. Oh my God, no. But I'm a huge fan of horror movies, actually. Good ones. I don't mean like, no offense to like Scream and Saw and all that. I'm not into
gore.
Yeah, gore porn, basically, which those films are, and that whole slasher thing. I find that a bit gross. But I love the psychological ones. I love the ones that have a theme, because the cool thing about horror is it can break down, like comedy, breaks down the barriers to let messages in.
There's a good sentence.
So there's a really good one, and I highly, highly recommend it. It's called His House, and it was on Netflix, and I presume it might still be on there, and it's a British film about a refugee couple who come to the UK, and they're given this house, and the kind of horror premise is that this house is haunted. I did haunted in little quotation marks. And it transpires that there's just a lot of trauma in kind of the past and in everything they've gone through, and there's been an event. And I don't want to give... Oh, I got a little shiver. I don't want to give it away because it's a really beautiful message. And I was in floods of tears at the end. Like floods of tears. Not from fear, from emotion of the beauty of this film. And it's so impressive. And it's a true horror. Like there are real good jumps. There's a real good like... scary sort of vibe about it. and otherworldly, supernatural vibe about it as well. But when you start to realise the message it's telling you, you're like, oh, God. Oh, my goodness. And yeah, just in floods of tears at the end. Really emotional. And I recommend, that's literally the first film I recommend most people.
Wow.
There's another film, a horror film that I love called Under the Shadow. It's an Iranian film, but it's a British made and produced film, I think. But it's set in Iran and it's in Iranian. And it's the Iran-Iraq war in the 80s. And it's a mother and son in an apartment building. And apologies if I've got any of this historically wrong. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. And the building gets hit by a rocket. And at the same time as this building's hit by a rocket, also an evil spirit enters the building. And in Middle Eastern culture, it's the jinn. Like the jinn is this spirit that's carried on the wind. It's like an evil spirit. I don't know if it's always evil, but it's that idea of that. So it enters the building and it starts to like haunt the mother and the child. And it's a real full-on, again, horror. But the message of the story and the metaphor of the story is like war coming in and destroying this house, this lifestyle. And by the end, they're fleeing. And it destroys her career. It destroys the kid's sort of future. And it's that thing. It's like, it's not just teenagers running away from someone with a knife. It's got this bigger, deeper, stronger feeling underneath it that's being told through horror. And actually, the original horrors were metaphor films.
Yeah.
When you think about it, don't be a slut or someone's going to kill you. Don't do this or blah, blah, blah. There were all these like...
I mean, they're still based on like Brothers Grimm stories of like morals, like don't go off on your own, don't have a big ego because you'll die, all these kind of things. So yes, I think a lot of horror stories and things that are scary come from this idea of this cautionary tale that they're trying to teach you something. It's like a parable or a fable or something like this of like, don't do this, don't go down that dark alley, or don't go on your own somewhere. Have a way to defend yourself. So they're kind of the base trope of those stories. Yes, they are to scare you and they're to kind of shock you, but it's also to kind of like, don't do that. That's stupid.
Don't go into the wood on your own.
Don't, like Little Red Riding Hood. What an idiot.
Don't do it.
Don't go off the path. It's a cautionary tale.
Yeah. And what are they always doing in horror movies? Don't go down there.
Don't go on your own.
But my thing with horror is like I like smart horror or horror that's... I'm not taking away anything from the big blockbuster horrors, but something that makes you think, something that has a deep message like that. I mean, it's got a moral, it's a metaphorical story. It's actually telling you something else. It's not just there to scare you.
Yeah, but I think for me, in terms of genre, there's two ways of categorizing already a category. One is when you lean on the tropes. So tropes are, for example, here's a game. If we're doing a Western, our genre is Western. What are the tropes for a Western? Let's kind of throw one out each.
Horses.
Someone being pushed through saloon doors.
People standing ready to do like a gunfight with their hands like...
Yeah, all that kind of
by their
tension.
guns, yeah.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us.
A tumbleweed.
The beer being thrown across the bar.
A honky-tonk piano playing.
These are all the tropes of that genre, right? Mm-hmm. There are thousands more, obviously. And I think when you use those tropes, and if you want to do a traditional Western from, back in the 30s, 40s, this kind of time of Westerns, you'd use all those tropes. And there's no kind of tongue-in-cheek. This is a very obvious version of that genre. Whereas then if you can go further and you can use those tropes, but in a clever, smart way, like you were just saying, it's like, okay, we still have those elements and those things that we need to make it kind of categorized as that genre, but maybe we twist them or we turn them on their head or we bring in something surprising. And that's when you're talking about things kind of smashing together of two different genres or just taking it like kind of one step further and not just leaning on the basic tropes.
As you were saying that, I did think, where are the modern, what's a modern Western? And the first thing that came to my head was The Mandalorian. And I'm like, because it has a lot of that Western vibe. And if you listen to the soundtrack for that, it's very...
Yeah.
It's really pushing you in that direction. And he is a gunslinger. It's like it's walking into... He does all that. The doors open. He walks in, everyone puts their drink down, it's all
Close
tense.
up, the tense.
And there's lots of like gun battles and that sort of thing. And he's a lone wolf because there's often like the lone wolf
Who
cowboy.
comes in and changes the catalyst for moments.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But of course they shift it in the fact that then there's this little cute, sweet little baby who's a space wizard. So you're kind of like, oh, okay.
So it becomes a space western.
A space western with space wizards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally a space western. That's absolutely a subgenre.
It becomes a father-son journey.
Yeah.
It's all this, and it adds all these different layers in. So you're taking those tropes and those inspirations from all those brilliant genres.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you can think about the classic rom-com of, you know, it's raining, the running through the airport, the gay best friend, the changing of the outfits before the wedding / party /
makeover.
whatever, the makeover, that's what I'm looking for. And you can play with those. But then something like Bridesmaids hit all those tropes, but twisted it and pushed it kind of further. And there's still a makeover scene, but everyone gets diarrhea. And there's still the meet cute, but he's a police officer and he doesn't like her. You know, so there's...
Anyway, we won't give it away.
It's a great movie. Bridesmaids, fabulous. But it's a rom-com. But it just goes that one step further.
So I was thinking about this because, of course, the podcast is, yes, we talk about the theme and yes, we talk about improv, but it's also how we can use it in our lives. And genre for me is about, well, it's storytelling. It's storytelling within a structure. And I was thinking, how can we use genre to aid us in our lives? And I do think it's quite a powerful creative tool in that you can flip the script in your mind. You sort of dig into like, if I was this person in this genre, what would I do? How would so-and-so handle this? It's a bit like saying, what would Beyonce do? It's that kind of keying in, stepping away from yourself slightly or reframing the situation, which can be a very powerful thing. Stepping back, zooming back, reframing it as something else. Because we tell ourselves stories all of the time.
And we get into that box, like you said about improv earlier, where like, this is the box where this thing exists. And it's like, I don't have to be, I'm the protagonist of my own story. Great. But you can change that story.
Of course. Here's another question for you then.
All right.
If there was a film made about your life,
Yes.
what genre would it be?
Oh, big a question. What genre would my life be?
It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to go realistic on it. You can like, what would you like it to be?
I think it's an action.
Oh, I was going to say action.
Oh, look, I went first. I think it's action. I think also that was the theme of 2 podcasts ago, but this idea of being front-footed and being an action, like, okay, what's around the corner? What's the next thing?
Oh my God.
Unfortunately, I've also led my dog to do the same thing. So now my dog is an action dog and this morning killed a bird.
That's a horror.
It is a horror.
That's a horror. It's a horror from the bird's point of view.
From the bird's point of view,
it's
we
tragedy.
flipped the script and the bird is like, I was having a nice day and then a dog came and scared me to death.
That's full-on tragedy, isn't it? That's a family tragedy.
It's family tragedy.
Oh, God.
That's even worse. No.
No. Sorry. Or, I was trying to flip it to comedy, but I don't think that's going to work.
No.
Unless the focus goes on to you and it's like really awkward and kind of like everyone's looking at you and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of like a Woody Allen real life kind of
dark
comedy thing,
comedy
dark
sort of
comedy
stuff.
of like, and then this happened and then the bird died and then I had to pick up the bird and put it in the bin.
And then everyone was looking at me and then this
Yeah.
Spanish lady told me off.
Yep.
That's my life.
That's my life.
That's a life of Kiva, but I love that you went for action.
I think it is. I think because I'm busy and I search the busy thing, but I also have that kind of curiosity thing of like, what's behind the door? Go! And see what's out there.
Go.
Yeah.
But action has it has a positive vibe, most action movies.
Yeah.
There are some like, obviously like the war ones and things like that, but they're war movies and they have action within them. The pure action movies feel very...
And there's still moments of
holiday.
tenderness and there's moments of funny and there's moments of real, you know, like a good action movie kind of stays with you. So there's kind of something that it leaves a bit of an imprint. But yours is also action?
Well, mine was going to be action.
Yeah, but I feel like yours needs a little bit more pensiveness, like a little bit more intelligence in there as well.
Okay. Let's have a think. What could mine
Like
be?
an action that has a bit of,
A thriller.
yeah. There's
A thriller. My life.
no, I don't know. I think you're right. I think your life is an action, but I think it's not a silly action. It's not
Okay.
Jumanji. Is it a Born Identity?
Oh my God.
I think
love
it might
that.
be. I think because of your sportiness, but then there's also like the Bourne films. There's a tenderness there, and there's a love there, and a desire to do good.
Oh my God. Am I Jason Bourne?
I think you might be Jason Bourne.
Am I oh my God, that's Jason Bourne.
Yeah. And
take
everyone's
that.
looking for you, and no one quite knows where you are. Oh my God, it's perfect. You're Jason Bourne.
That is true.
But you know what? This is what I was going to just bring us on to. This idea of how to change tension and how to change genres. It's all for me in the pause. I think it's all in that. I think, yes, we can have all the tropes and we can change the genre and the location, the costume, the music, all of the kind of the outside, the visual side of things. But I think how you really live in that different world of that different genre is by playing with the tension.
Interesting.
Yeah. And playing with the pause. So if you're in a jokey buddy comedy, it's like da 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 da, yeah, da 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 da, oh yeah, and it's very quick and there's almost no pauses. Whereas if you're in a courtroom drama thriller and it's like the moment where someone gives in some information, like, okay, well now we're going to call witness number 1, 2, 3, and then the witness comes in slowly, says nothing, sits down, shots of them, shots of everyone, shots of the jury. And then that person talks. All of that tension, I think, is where you can really live in those different genres.
So, talking about tension and play, Kiva, do you have a game that we can play to play with genre?
So there's a wonderful game called Genre Roller Coaster. Literally, we are going to both go on a roller coaster on a journey as well as the audience, hopefully. So buckle in. What will happen is we will start playing a scene, and then at one stage I'll just shout a different genre, and I have to carry on the scene but with this new genre. And then we'll shout another genre, either of us can, and we'll carry on the scene and see if it changes things. But we'll try and lean heavily on all these different tropes.
Okay. So this will be purely done by voice.
Yeah, this is just done by voice, which is going to be tricky because most of these things would be physical.
Yeah.
So let's say we are we're two best friends, and one of us is getting married, and the other is going to be the maid of honor.
Okay.
You are going to be amazing.
I'm so excited. I can't believe it's come around so quickly.
I know, only 3 years for planning your wedding, but it's almost the day.
Almost a day tomorrow. I'm getting
Horror.
married.
But what if he doesn't show up?
Well, I haven't heard from him for so long.
Oh my God, what is that on your elbow? What is that? It's spreading up your arm.
I can't.
Sandra, wash it off. Wash. Action adventure.
Quick, cut off my arm. I can take it.
Take it.
I can take it.
Oh, but no, it'll make a red stain on your dress. What'll we do? Here, I'll make a tourniquet. Okay, I'm going in.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I can do this.
Okay.
Comedy.
Oh.
No, please.
I'm going to do it.
No,
I'm closing my
not
eyes.
Sure. No, don't close your eyes.
I'm closing my eyes.
I don't think
I can't look. Both side of blood.
Oh my God, you're just sick. That's my mum's favourite couch. Oh my God, she's going to kill me.
Oh, it's okay. No one's here. I've already sent the pigeons outside. They're going to distract them.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm glad the pigeons are here to help us.
Sci-fi. Pigeon attack!
Captain, the pigeons are attacking us.
We do not know why pigeons came involved in this wedding.
I love that we are both robots. This is a robot chip.
This
now.
has now become a robot chip. I will take off your arm. It will not hurt you.
Not at all. I feel so much better.
Tragedy to finish. I'm so sorry.
Why are you sorry?
Well, he won't want to marry you now.
No, I only have. He did particularly like my left arm. That's the reason he fell in love with me.
Oh, God. I'll go and tell your family. You shouldn't show a face here again.
Can we just find a good doctor to sew it back on?
It's too late for that.
Do you know who the best doctor in town is?
Did it used to be you?
No, it's my fiancé.
Insane.
Wild.
I have no idea where pigeons were about. I meant to say doves. People bring doves to weddings. And I got...
It was a budget wedding.
Budget.
A budget pigeon wedding.
A budget pigeon wedding. That's
Why
it.
are the doves grey?
So yeah, that is genre roller coaster.
What if you just got pigeons and painted them white?
She's gone off on one, lads. It's too hot in here.
No, it's getting very warm. Oh my God, I actually really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. I would have liked to we were quite physical even in the booth.
I know, and it was quite hard not to do it.
And we did loads of sound effects.
We did.
Because that's fun. That's fun to do. And
I do have another little mini game for you. Yeah. So I'm going to, can you just say a sentence out loud, like a 10 to 15 word sentence?
The best time to go down to the beach is in the morning because there are no people there.
Perfect. Great sentence. Now can you say the same sentence, or keeping the same script, more or less, but in a, what do you call that thing, like Downton Abbey genre?
Okay.
Jane Austen vibe.
All right. I can't change the words.
A little bit.
Okay. The best time to head down to the beach is, well, it's quiet in the morning because there are no people there.
Okay, same sentence, but like the most thriller you can be.
The best time to head down to the beach is in the morning because there are no people there.
Nice. Okay. I mean, you could do this forever. But in terms of if anyone is ever creating anything, whether it's even a piece of music or literature or a blog post or anything, just trying to say it in a different voice. Mm-hmm. And it's a really good tip to say it out loud. So if you've written a thesis, a master's, dissertation, whatever it might be, just trying to say it in different voices and different tones and different genres, just to see if you can shift things a little bit. Because if you're ever trying to give someone any kind of presentation, whether it is something very scientific, you still want to bring people a little bit on a journey. So just by trying to change a little bit the tone will just change everything.
It makes you more flexible in your voice. So you're more comfortable and you feel more like a human. So when you do a presentation, you're not just like, oh my God, this is my voice. And then all the tension comes out. If you've already played a lot with the script and you kind of know what your voice can do. You've had a little play. It can go up here. It can go down here. It can do scary things. It can be loud. It can be soft. It can be all these different things. And you've had a play with it, so you feel comfortable with the instrument, literally, of your voice. So it's good to have a little play. I completely agree with that. If you're doing a speech, out loud, for sure, as many times as possible, in as many weird accents, as many weird genres, as many different energies and vibes, talking to different people. Do it as if you're talking to like 5-year-olds. Do it as if you're talking to OAPs. Do it as if you're talking to your best mate. Like, try the different and see how it just affects your voice. Yeah. So that's not necessarily a genre. It's more like thinking about your audience. But it's fun to play with that. And it will loosen you up and make you feel more comfy when you actually get up there and do it. Yeah.
But even if it's a written thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're writing a story, try it in different voices. Read that story out loud, or even in your head in the different, okay, if this story was turned into a thriller or into a rom-com, how would it be? And maybe I can change it. Because sometimes when we're writing things, it can just come out as one note.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, now let's add a bit of tension. How can I add tension to this? Mm-hmm. So even Googling the tropes of dramatic thrillers, going, okay, I can have this, I can have an unexpected person, I can have the world can shift.
And that's nice if you're, say, writing a comedy, because it will just add that extra little flavour. If you Google something or add a trope or add an element of another genre, it doesn't change the fact you're writing a comedy, it just makes it a bit richer and a bit more interesting and unusual.
Yeah.
So you're kind of going, oh, I didn't expect that.
Oh, a bit spicy.
Oh, how nice.
Oh, so nice. Interesting. that is the end of this episode of Let's See It, and also the end of season 1. We have had so much fun hanging out and talking with you guys. Check out our Instagram at Let's See It Pod. But
we will be back. Of course, we will be back for season 2. And this time we're going to invite people into the booth with us.
Special guests.
Squeeze on in, everyone.
Yep.
Bringing in invited guests to talk about improv, life, and generally fabulousness.
So check it out and let's see it.
See you soon.
Bye.
God, it's going to be so fucking roasting.
It's so hot in here.
It's hot already.
We take all of our clothes off. Oh my God.
Hasn't even got to the hottest part of the year yet.
Yeah.
Ooh, sweaty.